So over the past year or so, I've made several videos talking about performative engagement. Today it just now dawned on me I've never adequately defined what that means. Well, to put things simply, this is when people interact, whether online or in real life, not as a form of genuine connection, nor as a true exploration of ideas, but all to signal something about themselves. It's all less about what is said and more about how it positions the speaker within a social or ideological landscape. Here's some of the core traits of performative engagement. Audience first and not idea first. The post is crafted to be seen, not to be thought about. It's a performance for followers and not a conversation with dissenters. Virtue or outrage signaling. Whether it's moral indignation or solidarity, the goal is to be seen expressing the correct emotion at the correct time. Scripted reactions. People respond to events with preloaded templates. This is heartbreaking. We must do better. This is not who we are. Etc., etc., all regardless of context. Finally, and this is the most important part, there's an algorithmic incentive to all this. Online platforms reward visibility, not nuance. So users must learn to optimize for engagement. So they use dramatic language, tribal alignment, and emotional spikes. Performative engagement also creates the illusion of discourse while flattening complexity. It turns real events into content fodder and real emotions into branding tools. And while that's not all inherently malicious, it's often hollow, and it can drown out any sincere voices. Now, the Minneapolis church shooting that happened on August 27th was not just an act of violence. It was a deliberate spectacle engineered for symbolic rupture. 23-year-old Robin Westman opened fire during a school mass at Annunciation Catholic Church. There he killed 2 children and injured 17 others, most of them between ages 6 and 15. He fired through stained glass windows, barricaded exits, and timed a manifesto to drop on YouTube as the attack unfolded. The FBI is investigating it as domestic terrorism and a hate crime targeting Catholics. But the motive is pretty clear. This was dramaturgy. Westman's staging, black clothing, multiple weapons, and cryptic slogans like "No escape" carved into wood was all designed to evoke dread, to provoke tribal reactions. Now, the manifesto reportedly included disturbing imagery like a shooting target with a depiction of Jesus. So he wanted to desecrate not just bodies, but symbols. Now, in reaction to all this, the internet is doing what it does. Parsing the spectacle, amplifying the fragments, moralizing, tribalizing, etc., etc. The shooter authored a moment, and the moment is being performed online now. The point I'm getting at is that Westman didn't just commit a massacre here, he curated one. His attack was choreographed down to the inscriptions on his weapons and the timing of his manifesto drop. And on YouTube, he also showcased his arsenal. A rifle, a shotgun, pistol, magazines, bullets, and almost all of them were marked with silver ink slogans and slurs, thereby turning all the weaponry into ideological billboards. And some of the inscriptions included "Kill Donald Trump," "Where is your God?" "For the children," and the names of other mass shooters, all signaling allegiance or aspiration. But again, this is all performative and absolutely 100% meaningless, all purposely designed to be consumed, dissected, and echoed by the masses. The shooter didn't want to be understood. Instead, he wanted his performance to be echoed. And that's exactly what is happening on social media right now. Etching words onto weapons is a tactic we've seen before, from Christchurch to Buffalo. It's not just personalization, though. It's semiotic warfare. Each phrase is a trigger, not just for the gun, but for the discourse that follows. These people want to be remembered, and the problem is the internet repeatedly remembers them. This is all bait. It is all specifically designed to provoke your outrage, your tribal reactions, and your ideological parsing. And like I said, predictably, the internet is doing exactly that. Debating the slogans, moralizing the motives, amplifying the spectacle. And what this ultimately ensures is that this will all happen again. A manifesto timed to the act, weapons inscribed with tribal triggers, and a setting chosen for symbolic desecration. Every element here is designed to be instructive, to show others how to hijack attention, fracture discourse, and embed themselves into the bloodstream of digital culture. What's more, we know that society will further paint you as a tragic figure if you decide to tune out. Yes, indeed, you'll get a bunch of people online calling for medical or mental health professionals or for therapy. Sure, let's trust the science after the lockdowns and after these very institutions have on record encouraged people to tune out and to use HRT. Sure, let's just call for more therapy and attention to mental health. That'll solve everything, right? Put them in an asylum. Even that's become a catch-all for every act of violence, alienation, or ideological rupture. But even trust the science has become far less about epistemology and far more about tribal allegiances nowadays. In Westman's case and others like him, the therapeutic language was already embedded in the act. Diagnoses, prescriptions, institutional records. Westman didn't reject this system, he used it. He weaponized the very frameworks meant to contain him, and now post-act the same frameworks are invoked again, as if the loop has not already been closed. Invoking therapy as a universal solvent ignores the political, cultural, and emotional machinery behind these acts. It flattens the critique. It comforts the audience. It says, hey, there was a glitch in the matrix, we'll just patch it. Now what we're looking at here is an architecture of notoriety. You stage an act in the symbolically loaded space, a church, a school, or a protest. You see the narrative with inflammatory slogans and ideological bait. Then you synchronize the broadcast, a manifesto, a live stream, social media trail, and then you let the internet perform. Tribal outrage, partisan farming, algorithmic amplification. And it works, because the internet doesn't just react, it reenacts. Every hot take, every tribal post, every viral thread becomes part of this shooter's legacy. Not in spite of the outrage, but because of it. Ultimately, this will be turned into a roadmap for other shooters in the future. And the only way to break it is to stop following the directions, strip the act of its spectacle, refuse the bait, deny the shooter the emotional resonance they engineered. But you see, that won't happen, because society has long since been rendered algorithmically obliged to talk about it in mass. So what's the solution? Well, first, recognize that the shooter scattered slogans like landmines, each one designed to trigger a different tribe. Whether you're left, you're right, Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, religious, secular, everyone is meant to see their enemy in this chaos. You're meant to point the finger at anyone other than the shooter. That's the point. His screeds are not doctrine, they're bait. Second, don't be compelled to make a fuss about it. And third, arm yourself, because inevitably the rest of society will make a fuss about it, but nothing will be done about it. Nobody is coming to save you from these people. They might as well be sacred cattle. So never be defenseless when the next one follows the script.